Hey babes, welcome to my channel on Royalty. Thanks for joining me today. You can consider me like a friend next door that you can come and borrow sugar from. Today I want to talk about spiritual awakening. First time experiencing spiritual awakening was a few years ago, and it was around the time that I was feeling very, very depressed and sad and not knowing what my purpose was basically. So I struggled every day because I felt like I was in a simulation kind of. I would go to work from 8 to 5 every day and do the same routine in the mornings, in the evenings, at nighttime. And I started to feel like my life was just going. I feel like I was on autopilot. I really didn't like that, especially with the type of job that I had to, because I had to take care of people. I had to take care of my patients and everything like that. And meanwhile, I'm putting on this smile, this facade, and acting like I'm good. But deep down inside, I was struggling emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So I was very, very spiritually deficient. I really didn't make time for myself to work on my spirit, and I didn't even know what that looked like. So, as well as that, I didn't know what spirituality was at the time, but I did know what religion was, and I was Christian at the time. And I struggled very, very hard with knowing myself. I didn't know myself, even though I knew of God. I studied the Bible. I studied His Word. I still struggled with knowing who I was and what I wanted and why I was still depressed, even though I put all my effort into knowing the God that I was told to learn about. And pretty much was taught to me and my mother and my mother's mother and vice versa, and all of that, from generation to generation we passed down basically religion and use that as a way to get through life. But I still felt spiritually deficient in a way. I felt like I was missing out on life myself. I didn't And then it dawned on me that I didn't love myself. I struggled with self-worth, self-esteem. I was always trying to wear makeup and hair all the time to try to hide who I was. And I did notice that when I started to embrace myself, my beauty, myself naturally and stuff like that, I started to learn how to love myself by doing things that I knew that would help me spiritually. And whether we know it or not, loving our physical outer appearance is a way to love ourselves. It's a way to love ourselves and help us to love our spirit as well. Because at the end of the day, we are all blessed with a human body, right? We have this physical body, but we also have a spirit. And so we have to, I had to learn that there's a spirit, there's a soul, and there's my body. And I had to learn the difference between the two. I had to learn how to nourish all of them properly, equally. And I felt like I wasn't doing that. So when I finally had a spiritual awakening, oh my gosh, it scared the daylights out of me. I remember I was in nursing school at the time, and while I was in nursing school, I was going through different things as far as like my schooling or whatnot, like going to school or going to classes. I was always around chaos. Okay, so I would go to work and I would go to school, and they were both chaotic, very chaotic. And I just felt like I was always on edge. Like I felt very stressed out. I felt very like sick, I guess. I don't know how to explain sick, but I felt mentally drained all the time. Like I couldn't keep my social battery here, you know what I mean? It was always very low. No matter what I did, no matter how much recharging I tried to do, I kept feeling like it wasn't enough. Like I didn't have enough energy to sustain the appearance, the facade that I always had in my life. And so, at the time of my spiritual awakening, I was very, very scared because I started to see synchronicities and numbers, and I started to notice them. I feel like in life, as people, we see synchronicities, we see numbers, or we see signs and stuff like that, but we're not very aware at the time. And I feel like with spiritual awakening, if I was to explain spiritual awakening, a spiritual awakening is becoming aware of who you are and what the world is around you, what it truly is, the real world, and not trying to escape what that looks like. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a lot of people who are very aware of the world, but they haven't really like grasp how spiritual awakening is. And some people have experienced a spiritual awakening, they just really don't call it that. So I know a lot of people who are atheists and who are people who decided that they don't want to follow a a way of life from anybody. They just decided that they want to love themselves and do what they want to do in their life, choose what they want to do, and not have society or people's thoughts about what they should be doing steer them in whatever direction that they think that they should go. They wake up every day, they have a mindset of, I'm going to get what I need out of this life, and that's it. So we meet a lot of those type of people a lot. And at the time of my spiritual awakening, I was in my younger 20s at the time, and I feel like in my teenage years, when I would befriend people who were atheists or people who didn't really have a religion, I felt as if me and them, we connected in a way. And at the time, they're very, very, very religious. I was to the point where I believed with all my heart, Jesus died for my sins and everything like that. And I would go to church. I was a church girl. I did, well, basically, I was a church girl since I was 5. And I found myself struggling even then, since 5 years old, learning about life and myself. Now, over the few years of my life as a young girl to in my 20s, I feel like I learned a lot in that short period of time. And with the lessons that I did learn, it stuck with me. And so when my spiritual awakening happened, I found myself having these memories of the times where I feel like my spirit guides were always there giving me signs and synchronicities, and I just missed them. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like as a child, I paid attention more to signs and synchronicities and stuff like that. I feel like as a child, I was more open and more open-minded to things around me in this world and possibilities and ideas and what that looked like. And I wasn't so narrow and stuck on a specific way of life. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to religion, I feel like religion is a way for you to have a closed mind. I feel like a specific religion keeps you, I feel, closed minded. For me, that was my experience. Now, I'm not talking about everyone else, okay? So, my spiritual awakening, it included an epiphany, a sudden epiphany that I see things and I feel things. And it was just like I was waking up to myself for the first time. I was feeling these emotions like 10 times more than I ever have before. It felt like I was finally aware of what was going on with myself and the world. And I felt like I always was awake, but when I finally started seeing the numbers, synchronicities, doing research and stuff like that, I kind of just really dived into what this spiritual awakening means and what it all entails and stuff like that. And I found that most of all, that's the number one thing for me that I pay attention to, is that my spirit guides have been with me this whole time, communicating with me for the longest time. I felt like my spirit guides, or not my spirit guides, I feel like I wasn't being heard. I felt like I wasn't alive, if that makes any sense. I felt like I was on autopilot. I didn't know what my purpose was. I just felt like I was on this flat line of just gotta make it. I just gotta make it. That was my mindset. I just gotta make it through this day. Just gotta make it through this week. I just gotta make it, And I never really wanted to just enjoy moments anymore. It came to a point for me where I just stopped enjoying my life, and I just felt like I was not here to enjoy anything. I was just here to fulfill some grand purpose that religion taught me to fulfill, that we were supposed to be here to, I guess, well, that's what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that we are supposed to help our brothers and sisters, help ourselves, and that's pretty much what I was taught, you know. Um, I had to do a lot of research on certain things, but when it came to learning about spirituality, I felt like I was at home because I felt like the doors were opening for me. I felt like my mind was starting to connect things better than usual. I felt like things was starting to make sense. Life was starting to make sense. I was feeling my my spirit guides were communicating with me, and I could finally hear them with my five senses, and I could finally see things. And as soon as the spiritual awakening happening, floods of things started coming up. Like, I'm talking about instances and situations of things that were uncontrollable. I started to see things more clearly, more signs than ever. I mean, just floods of things. Like, I feel like uh my divine the divine was speaking to me directly, and I can finally see them. Because for the longest time I felt like I wasn't heard, I wasn't felt. I was struggling with who I was as a person. And when it comes to spirituality, you learn that there is there's the matrix, right? So when you wake up every day, you are in the world, right? The world, I consider it the matrix in a simulation, because there's a system in place that has nothing to do with you as a person, but it does. You're a part of if you're living in America, you're a part of a society where there is a system in place that is created to keep you controlled and keep you in a controlled setting, and so that you don't and it's better to be complacent, you know what I mean? They want people to be complacent every single way, and that is how the system is set up. So when it came to me learning about spirituality, I learned that the best way to be able to become happier in this type of society is to become more spiritual and to become more aware, so that when instances happen that you can't control, you can better control it if you are spiritually aware of what those instances entail. You get what I'm saying? So when my spiritual awakening happened, I would start to hear downloads. I would wake up every morning and I would listen to myself. I would listen to my thoughts, and I would decipher what wasn't my thoughts and what were other people's thoughts or other people's energies, right? So for me, I am an empath. And so I can feel energy. I can feel other people's energy. I can feel mine, and I can hear things. I'm also clairvoyant. I can hear thoughts, and I hear my thoughts, and I also can feel people's energy, and somehow I can feel their thoughts. I don't know how to explain that, but I'm very, very, very spiritually aware. So I really wanted to talk about this more in depth, because I feel like on my last video, some people were very confused about what I meant by I can. Some people's thoughts are theirs, and some people's thoughts are not, and that's why you have to decipher between the two, and that's exactly what I mean. Okay, so I have my thoughts, I have downloads from the divine as well, and then I also have people's energy that I have to decipher if it's mine or not, you know. And because when I feel like with energy as well, when people put certain type of, when you are around people's energy, you start to hear what they're like feeling, or you would put a thought with a feeling, and sometimes those thoughts are not your thoughts. I'm just really trying to explain it the best way I can, you know, because I know it sounds different, it sounds crazy, but I find with myself that I have met a lot of gifted people, a lot of people who have gifts that they really can't account for. They just know that they have them, and that is what it is in the world. Sometimes you meet people with gifts, and I didn't know that I was gifted at all until I became more spiritually aware of myself and getting to know myself and stuff like that. So um blessings to you. I want you to go ahead and share your experience with me, if you ever had a spiritual awakening, what they look like. And you know, I am one of your besties, okay? If you ever want to just talk to me, put some stuff in my comments and I'll definitely get back to you and we'll be communicating. I am one of your good friends, okay? One of your friends you can just talk to all the time, you know? Connect with me. I would love that, okay? So blessings to you guys, and I hope that y'all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and a wonderful year. Blessings.